This should be a very interesting match of StarCraft. So it's time for a best of 3 of Terran versus Zerg from the GSL Code S. Where first off, in the top right-hand corner, we have an absolute channel favorite. And he goes by the name of GuMiho. His opponent down in the bottom left, well, I think we can call him a channel favorite too. With the blue Zerg pieces, we have Reynor. Reynor taking on Gumi in a best of 3 series. I think in a straight up macro game, Reynor is likely the favorite. However, Gumi is a very tricky player, and there's no denying that he's ranked extremely highly these days. He's been playing the game for a very long time, and even when playing standard StarCraft, he is not, well, really somebody you should ever count out. So I'm excited for this one. It is the GSL, so that means, of course, that both of the players have had some time to prepare for the opponent. I don't know if that means that we are more likely to see cheeky shenanigans or less likely, because obviously it means that GuMiho can study some of the Reynor games and decide, yo, this is a clear weakness in my opponent's gameplay, but it also means, of course, that Reynor can go ahead and study GuMiho's games and then, well, maybe counter that exact shenanigans too. Either way, we're starting off on ley lines, game number 1 in a best of 3 series. And so far, I'm not seeing anything too weird. It's been a good old extractor trick opener here from the Zerg, although a gasless start for now. Ah, we're gonna go quick triple hatch. Are we? I mean, it has to be, right? This is something that Dark was playing for quite a bit. Dark, well, he's now gone off to the military, but he's been playing this triple hatch opener where he does not get a gas geyser until the 3rd hatchery is already started. It's a little dangerous for obvious reasons because, well, you have no defense against, say, for example, I don't know, a Reaper opener. GuMiho, not really somebody who frequently opens up with triple Rex Reaper, but if the opponent goes triple Rex Reaper and you've got yourself a 3rd hatchery going up, it is very difficult to actually delay any of that aggression. Usually your timing is obviously that Zergling speed finishing, and, well, Reynor is not gonna get Zergling speed here for quite a long while. 3rd hatchery. Yep, is indeed going to start. 2 minutes and 15 seconds into the game. This is, though, after Reynor had confirmation of the opponent's quick command center on the low ground, so it's not entirely unscouted. Looks like the Overlord is gonna try and take the long route around and then probably straight through the main base of the Terran. Factory on the back of this, we have 2 Marines before actually making a transition, 4 Marines in total actually, before making a transition towards any of that factory production. Maybe even make it 6. Either way, it does mean that GuMiho is going to have some nice anti-air available, and anything he's trying to hide should be quite deniable. But he won't be happy to find out that this is indeed such a quick 3rd hatch, right? Because there's a million ways that Zerg players can open up. And this is one of the most annoying ones for Gumi for sure. This means that the opponent has decided to play very greedily. And I think at this point, ooh, well, for the most part, they have already been getting away with it. This push, ooh, this is cool. This push over here is very odd. But GuMiho did make those Marines. Normally they're meant for Overlord hunting, I believe, but I wonder if maybe he can use them to kill the hatchery. It's not quite the norm to open up with such a quick command center on the low ground and then go into Hellions after making Marines. Normally we don't make the Marines at this point. Either way, this is going to force a little bit of panic on the Italian Zerg player side of the map. Hellions joining in too. Obviously there's no link speed. So if you want to go for, like, I don't know, like slow links to the Nidus, that'll be tough. The Queens alone are strong. But this is certainly going to make the game a whole lot more different than what Reynor was hoping for. Now Reynor, for the most part, as far as unit production goes, he's been ignoring this until just now, opting to go for roaches. So this is roaches first, but honestly, that hatchery is already looking pretty low. He does have energy for transfusions on some of them. Love the idea of the Hellions going around, but a Spore Crawler is going to prevent them from, well, driving straight into the base. Still, though, the Queens are in a world of trouble. There is now a roach or 2 available. That's nice and all. You can use this to uproot and then open up your base once again, but I think the 3rd hatch is dead. If he targets it down, it is certainly going to fall. At the same time, though, GuMiho doesn't want to, like, pop it too early because those little Brutelings are annoying and it may just take the wind out of his sails, but this is totally fine here for the South Korean Terran player. And it's one of the reasons why this type of early game for the Terran is, well, usually a problem, right? Usually when you don't kill this, you're in a world of trouble. But those 6 Marines that he made, very fun. Very cool to see. Okay, the hatchery will restart. Reynor, for the most part, during all of this, was, of course, making drones. There is already a Banshee out, though, so a Roach counterattack is nice, but it really should not happen whatsoever. I love the cheeky little bunker there from Gumi. Very fun. Certainly a reactionary play, right? That was not intentional, and there's that Overlord from earlier. The one that I thought was going to get gunned down by the Marines immediately. But there are no more Marines available. They have been preoccupied, let's call it that, on the other side of the map. Okay, Lair is now about, I want to say 80% of the way done. Extra gas geysers are being added into the mix. And even though the Zerg's economy is maybe not quite where he really wanted it to be, this is also not quite the end of the world, I don't think. I mean, that was quite a slow early game here in the end for Gumi. I mean, he's not going to be able to put on any additional pressure, really. The Banshee should be denied with relative ease. The Hellions can be pushed back as well. How do you decide, though, here, as the Zerg, whether or not you want to be making additional workers or if it's time to go for an army? Well, he's making an awful lot of attacking units, and he does have Roach armor together with the Roach speed research coming up. These will line up reasonably well. I think they finish up right around the same time. So that's a nice power spike for Roaches, and I think that's what Reynor is going to try and lean into. Maybe the original plan, yeah, was to go for a 3-base saturation before any real unit production, but apparently that plan has been thrown out of the window. I think the drones that we see showing up there, yep, they were probably overproduced earlier on. Come on, ladies, get into the plane. We are going to the other side of the map. Let's see, what exactly will there be for GuMiho to defend? Well, Stimpack is going to be done in time, I believe. You wish you could chrono boost, but I believe it will finish up anyways. Okay, the Queens are slowed down a little bit by one pesky little Viking trying to be a nuisance. Obviously, if you kill the Overlord, that is extremely good. And honestly, the micro here on that Viking has been excellent. Yeah, this is going to slow down the push significantly. Overseer coming up too. These Ravager cocoons, they're in the wrong spot. They're going to block the ladies. Another Overlord does fall. I mean, I think this is all good for Gumi. He has successfully delayed this attack. That being said, though, the sheer amount of Roaches here is certainly something you need to be respecting. Reynor is sort of turning this into an all-in, but he is macroing behind it. Additional workers coming up. Okay. I mean, those Banshees are phenomenal. I love the siege tanks here, too. I think he needs to maximize the damage at the 3rd base and go home. Okay, we have a new private jet for Brenda and the Queens. Still, though, the Overlord dies again. And that means no transfusions, despite saving up all that energy. As of course, quite a few patches ago at this point, Queens are unable to transfuse off creep. Yeah, and that was expertly managed here by GuMiho, who's honestly been playing this game like a Gumi god. Lovely work. Reynor is pulling a bunch of tricks on him, but he is saying, nope, you. And that's it. No, you is always a strong response to literally anything. Okay, 2-2 coming up right here. We have combat shields on the back of this too. Combat shields is pretty late. Queues up the concussive shells as well. Okay. Yeah, so what do we do now? Maybe a couple of blind infestors would not be a bad idea. I actually like the idea of blind infestors here. Just like 2. I don't think it's going to be for a hive. I don't believe that Zerg is feeling comfortable enough to go into a hive. Now, what about those Banshees that have been so critical in the base defense? GuMiho is using them now to find another expansion of the Zerg player. Marines don't care, Stimpack or not, they decide to just run through all of this. I think the Banshees should be able to finish the job, although the Queens are running on over in that direction. The siege tank, oh, the siege tank count though is looking absolutely menacing. Some clumped up corrosive balls there against clumped up siege tanks. That does maximize the damage. Okay, Banshees are gonna get pushed away, and Reynor will keep that base alive, but what about his 3rd? It is the 2nd 3rd base of the game. A lot of reinforcing units are now going across the map as well, and I believe with them showing up, this 3rd hatchery is toast. Still though, the Banshees are gone now. There's one of them that remains, but they're no longer pressuring that 4th. That does mean that those drones will have more minerals to be mining, but honestly, this attack here from GuMiho, he's again not targeting the hatchery too early. He is looking to, well, take the cake and then eat it too. GG. Brilliant first game in this match. GuMiho, certainly somebody that needs to be respected. And now he can do whatever he likes. What does he like? Okay, well, he's certainly thinking about that triple hatch opener. Maybe we'll build up a bunch of barracks here on Persephone. We could build up to 3. I really like that opener, though, from Gumi in the end. So the 6 Marines, I kind of thought it was a bit too much to be sniping Overlords with. Obviously, Marines are always nice, and when you have the barracks, you may as well make a bunch. But I wonder if that was specifically designed against that blind, well, triple hatchery opener from the Zerg, where they go for an entirely gasless start. It did seem that way. Now, Persephone does have a pretty long rush distance. So to go across the map with those Marines, I mean, I ran out of mousepad there. I wanted to do, can I do a, hold up, I'm gonna move my mouse all the way to the absolute top of my mousepad. Can I move all the way down to the opponent's natural? Okay, just barely. Just barely. That is how I'll be judging rush distances these days. It is entirely dependent on my mouse DPI and then also on the size of my mousepad, and it also depends, I guess, on the players being, well, vertical from one another. Either way, rush distance on this map feels very, very long. And obviously, there's also quite a few little paths in between, right? A bunch of rocks that need to be considered. Now, this is not going to be a triple barracks opener for Gumi. Instead, this is a low ground wall-off. We've been seeing this from the likes of Maru for a long time. Maru's always a fan of it. I think he's going to add on a factory over here and just basically complete the wall that way. For the longest time, whenever we saw Terran players do this, they would go double barracks over here and then sometimes even a third barracks inside of the main base. Difficult for Zerg to scout, but not what we've got. Yeah, my mousepad is exactly 1 Persephone tall, which is basically all the information you need. Okay, a Reaper goes across. This is, of course, the map with the healing circle. We've seen a handful of games where the healing circle is absolutely critical, and then a ton of games where the pro gamers completely pretend that the healing circle doesn't exist. I find it kind of ironic, actually. If anybody was going to do something fancy with the healing circle, it would be the Gumi God, the Towel Terran himself. Okay. Overlord is going to, I think, hide on this pillar. Yeah. If you right-click it right over there and do the middle of that little section, it is going to be perfectly hidden, but GuMiho did have a little peek there to know that indeed the Overlord was located right over there. Okay, so what will the follow-up be? Oh, that's a really quick armory. I would imagine we're going to be seeing a 3rd command center pretty soon too, although it will be a 2nd refinery before anything else. We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what GuMiho wants to do here. But to go for such a quick armory, it can only ever really mean hellbeds. You need an armory in order to transform a Hellion into a hellbed. Obviously, in a normal game, we pretty much always see an armory. In that instant, it is to unlock the 2-2 research in the engineering bay. So for 1-1 as Terran, you only need the engineering base. For 2-2, you do need to have a armory together with an engineering bay. Hey, there we go. Healing Shrine coming in clutch to touch that Hellion back up to 100%. Okay, so no triple CC though. Now, this is a little bit awkward for Reynor for sure. He's gonna see this now, but what is this army? It's 4 Hellbats together with 2 Reapers? Feels a little bit awkward. It's not that many units. Yeah, Reynor's not respecting it at all. He's droning up. I always love it whenever you have the pro gamer so confident, right? Like, he looked at that army, he's like, nah, buddy. I will be making workers, thank you very much. You have some nice Hellbats over there. Enjoy your little steps onto the creep. But my queens alone are going to be more than enough. That was a bluff from GuMiho. This was GuMiho going all in pre-flop with 2-7 offsuit. It's an ambitious play, and it didn't work out at all. Reynor didn't even blink. Well, I mean, he doesn't have any Stalkers. No Twilight Council research for him. All right, well, now it's a little bit more. It's a bit of a funky opener here from Gumi. GuMiho trying to play some tricks here on the opponent. How many times do you see a quick armory with only 4 Hellbats? It's weird. You know what else is weird? Additional factories. Reynor has already seen them before I did, even though I have perfect vision of the entire map. That's a little bit embarrassing. But there is also a third command center on the back of this. So GuMiho is playing Terran Mech. Ooh, 2 more factories. We're going straight up to 5. Considering he's making Banshees now too, I can imagine this is likely going to be Hellion Cyclone Banshee. Doesn't necessarily have to be though, but his main bottleneck will surely be gas. So gas is one of the most important things. Yeah, I like the idea, exactly. Sending the command center down to the low ground and immediately taking the refineries is 100% the way to go. Rather than morphing in an orbital command first, you just run out of resources, especially if you start making a Raven as well. Ravens are very, very gas-heavy units. You can make 1,000,000 Hellions, I suppose. It's weird. It's a little bit funky. Cyclone research coming up. Infernal Pre-Igniter will probably start up in a moment as well for the Hellions. For the Hellbats. So that's the lockout improvement for the Cyclone, which is apparently a bugged research. Apparently the cooldown of it is a lot, well, lower than what it's actually supposed to be. Which is kind of ironic, because nobody's really playing Terran Mech. But apparently it is currently slightly overtuned. Either way, bugs in StarCraft 2 though, I mean, I keep thinking of the most recent balance patch, where they had fixed a bug for the Brute Lord, and then they reverted the bug change because it was too good. So, you know, maybe we just gotta run with a different number on the cooldown of the lock-on ability than what the tooltip says. Reverting bug fixes, though, is one of the worst things in game development I've ever heard. Yeah, it's too good, so we decided to revert the bug fix. Are you kidding me? On Brute Lords as well, man. How does anybody think Brute Lords are good? Anyway. Infestation Pit coming up here for Reynor. And this time around, of course, this is a far more comfortable game for him. How exactly do you approach playing, well, against this Battlemech army? That's the real question, right? How do you exactly approach this? Factory number 6 already coming up too. 6 factories feels awkward to me. Normally you go from 5 to 8. So you make 5 and then you make 3 more to go up. Ooh, okay. To go up to 8. Either way, this answers my question as to what the Reynor's game plan is. He is going Roach Ravager into Swarm Hosts. At this point, we don't actually have any Ravagers yet. Saving his gas, but I'm assuming we'll see some of those moving forward. Baneling Nest? Okay, +1 melee has also begun, so Reynor will be making a switch to some higher tier units eventually. And yes, I do count Zerglings as a higher tier unit than Roaches, especially with some late game upgrades. Either way, it will be Roaches and Swarm Host for the time being, but I can imagine this will be a transition towards some sort of Lingbane late game follow-up. There's the Infernal Pre-Igniter. There's the Banshee Cloaking. Very funky Banshee Cloaking. 8.5 minutes into the game, we've had, well, how many Banshees? Just one, right? Yeah, it's just been the one Banshee. Okay. First wave of Locusts, not really achieving too much. These units have a lot of DPS though, and at the very least they're keeping that Terran army pinned back. The damage per second of those Locusts is not to be underestimated. GuMiho has decided that his best way to deal with this is just by making more. He's sending Overseers around the map, yeah, for a Nidus Worm now in the main base. I actually thought we were going to use the Nidus Worm to try and maybe send some of those Swarm Hosts around the map, but no. There's nothing inside of them. I think it's mostly just here to be a nuisance. Hive coming up together with a Greater Spire soon, I think. Could also just be for Corruptors. Either way, the Spire is building. Baneling speed? And the constant scouting here of the Terran bases is quite good. 6 supply depots coming up. Second armory coming up too. Nidus is indeed now available in the far top right. And Reynor is ready to step his foot on the gas here. Wow, so far these Swarm Hosts are not really achieving anything. How about the Zergling counterattack in the meantime on the left side? Quick reaction there as well by Gumi, preventing that from happening. Hyperflight rotors? Oh my god. That is the Banshee speed research. This man's made one Banshee so far, and he's loving that Banshee. That Banshee's getting all the upgrades in the world. So we're going full Battlemech. Like, this is not just Hellions with Cyclones, which is what we usually refer to as Battlemech. This is also, well, a bunch of Banshees mixed in. It means, of course, that Terran's gonna have an extremely mobile Terran mech army. Usually this is the type of stuff, though, that falls off the longer that the game goes on. But GuMiho is now maxed out with it. Banelings are kind of awkwardly, anti-armor missile actually hurting the Terran more than it hurts the Zerg. Nidus Worm is going to allow those swarm hosts to pop out as well and deploy a bunch of locusts here at the front. Okay. There's indeed the Greater Spire. If Reynor can whip out like 10 Brute Lords, that would nullify a lot of the Cyclone play. Then again, those Cyclones are still to be respected. And it takes a while for Brute Lords to morph in. It's expensive too. Reynor at this point maxed out, and he needs to be maxed out in order to try and deal with this Terran aggression. So as long as GuMiho is, well, out on the map, it will be difficult for a Brute Lord transition to really take into effect. Another one of those factories coming up. More command centers finishing up too. GuMiho playing really good StarCraft here. Like, I think we all know that Reynor is really good. I think we all know that GuMiho is really good too, but I am more impressed so far in these games by GuMiho than I have been by Reynor. And it's not that Reynor's really making any critical mistakes, it's just that GuMiho seems to not be making any. His gas count is low though, and that is one of his main bottlenecks. I think that's where the mineral spending on command centers will come in. Let's see. Smart servos. That is the transformation ability for Hellions. A bunch of other units. Transform a little bit quicker. Vehicle weapons level 1 is finishing up. The lock-on ability of the Cyclone does not quite, well, care about that. Man, the healing zone is so nice for this type of thing. It's so interesting. We rarely see Terran mech. So, usually when you see a strategy uncommonly, you would imagine it's because the strategy is weak. But the handful of Terran mech games that I have seen now, they're looking incredibly oppressive. Reynor has been set up for full defense into Terran mech since the moment he scouted it, which was basically at the earliest possible opportunity. He saw Factory 2 and 3 when they started. And he's been in full defense mode and he can't counter it. In the meantime, GuMiho is not remotely all in. 84 SCVs, he's got more income here than the Zerg. He's building up command centers on location, Planetary Fortress coming up. The orbital command count is going up as well. I'm impressed. This is cool. +1 air weapons, by the way. Okay. You'd imagine you go double factory upgrades here. So you go armor for the, oh, he's already got +3, that's why. Dang, he's got +3 already done? He put the +3 here so quick. Oh, okay. I haven't even really been paying attention to all of the little details there of Gumi. Okay, Locust Wave finally achieving something, but yeah, when the Swarm Hosts are kind of, sort of, somewhat countered, it feels like it's such a shaky unit, to say the least. 7 of them still remain. They're hiding inside of the Nidus Worm. GuMiho at this point, though, can give up on most of his army and replenish it immediately. Using the healing circle, though, to get maximum value out of all of those troops. And I feel like picking a map like Persephone against Gumi is just a very dangerous thing to do. Fusion Core coming up. Tech Lab on starports. Okay. Normally, at this stage in the game, this would be for ranged liberators and for the medevac energy boost. That is not why we're building a fusion core today. I think we're going Battlecruisers. Playing Battlecruisers in 2025 is extremely uncommon, especially when there's, well, the GSL Code S on the line, right? I mean, it's the most prestigious StarCraft 2 tournament in Korea. You gotta be extremely confident in your Battlecruiser transition. Brute Lords are now here, and Brute Lords are annoying for this Terran army to deal with. So Reynor has gone Broodlord Infestor. He doesn't have a lot of it yet, but as long as the Infestors can, like, deal some damage here, there you go. Just a small amount of Broodlords can put in a lot of work. Yeah. And this is exactly what GuMiho was worried for. He's building up 3 additional starports. We even have some missile turrets, it seems, building in the middle of the map. It's a sensor tower for now, but Zergling run by on the left side of the map again. No lift up on the orbital? Okay, well, that's a second command center dying. What about the third? Gumi, wake up! That is 3 command centers dying to Zerglings. 2 of which could have been cancelled, 1 of which could have lifted off. Hyperflight Rotor still coming in clutch. Hatchery did get cancelled in the meantime. And this is the type of game that Reynor will be keen to play, right? Reynor's a very fast player. You can see it reflected in the actions per minute. In the top left-hand corner of your screen. He's significantly outpacing Gumi. Now, Battlecruisers don't require a lot of APM. They're pretty chill, man. Set the course. Take it slow. Battlecruiser operation. Like, they literally tell you to take it slow. Neuroparasite. Certainly an option. Reynor has seen the BCs now, and he recognizes that that is what he needs. There's 3 Battlecruisers available, man. He's going Liberators on the back of this, mostly because he needs more supply in order to make more Battlecruisers. Yamato Cannon is available very soon as well. That's going to allow those BCs to blast off wherever they like. Beautiful control here, though, by Gumi. Excellent multitasking, and despite taking a lot of damage at home just now, I mean, he's still taking damage at home, he's not afraid to constantly stay on the offensive. Now, those Zergling run-bys need to be addressed. There's a lot of ways in which you could do so, and I don't think that the defense here at home has been entirely optimal. Reynor getting a little bit lucky in that regard, but that's exactly what he needs. Looks like he's lost a Roach Warren. Yeah, he's making a new one right now at home. Broodlord numbers are slowly growing. Infestor count is also climbing up. Neuroparasite is a very real opportunity here. Oh my god, hold up. I'm gonna back up for that one. I backed up about 10-15 seconds here in the game. It looked like GuMiho decided to do an aggressive jump straight across the map, and Reynor was anticipating the exact moment at which the Battlecruisers teleported in. That's a crazy decision. I think it's gonna happen right about over here. So you don't want to blast too early. That's really neat. Leading the corrosive biles to try and defend this. Neuroparasite is done, but there's no longer a whole lot of infestors available, and he's prioritizing the fungal growth instead. Swarmhost awkwardly waiting around the site for the Locust Wave to be available once more. But I think GuMiho is just about ready to sledgehammer his way straight through all of the Zerg bases here. Reynor does still have a bunch of money available, and he will kill the BCs eventually. That's nice and all, but GuMiho is making new ones at home. A ton of gas available for Reynor in the bank and not a lot of minerals. It's the exact opposite for GuMiho. GuMiho, though, still has that mining happening on the other side of the map, and that's exactly what he's trying to deal with right now in the far bottom right. Reynor dropping his drone quite low, and just like that, it is indeed the Gumi God who obtains the victory in a phenomenal game of StarCraft 2. Excellent series. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Now, I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters today. Do I want to name every single one of them? I know there's a lot of YouTubers that do. Do I want to be that guy? Fine, I'll be that guy. Shout out to Blue Hair, Grimdy, Bindsterk, Thor, Javo, Champ, Brusick, Patrick, Gavilan, Andy, Sysadmin, Lightswitch, Lucas, Ballistical, Killman, Robert, Jacob, Echo Soldier, Rextor, Shren, Papucha, Garing, Crownlord Strategist, Dustin, and then Nakul, as well as Doom Home. I will let YouTube actually decide what video they recommend to you right over here. You should probably click it. I think it's over here.